everybody, and welcome to episode 2, season 1, episode 2 of the Face Melters. We're kind of playing with the name a little bit, so it actually shows up on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
07M Vintage, or Custom and Vintage Guitar Geeks is what I came up with. Well, I'm Mike Vincent. He's Bruce Bennett. He's the master. I'm the wannabe geek. He's actually a bona fide geek, as I think we proved that in the first episode, and we'll keep proving that over and over, don't you think? So when I was growing up, born in the early 60s, as you were yourself, I had older siblings in there that were playing Pipers at the Gates of Dawn and Astronomy Donomy, the old Sid Barrett stuff, right? So from then on, so Pink Floyd is one of those bands where I love to hear somebody listening to like Momentary Lapse of Reason and say, man, they're great. And I said, yeah, you don't know the half of it.
Well, believe it or not, I was so busy trying to figure out how to build guitars in my middle of my adolescence that I didn't listen to too much music.
Oh,
it
really?
was later
that's
that I began to listen to music because I had a little time. But yeah,
so you got hooked without even listening really to the music. You just loved the instrument.
Music. I was so busy playing the guitar, I wasn't really listening to everybody else. I was playing my own stuff.
Yeah. But Gilmore was, as we were discussing before the show, tasteful.
Absolutely, that's the best word to describe him.
He was smooth, and he was. Well, you came up with it. I did not. I just said he was amazing. You said tasteful, and I agree with you. I think that is.
I can't think of a
hardest,
more tasteful
slower
player
I've ever tried to mimic. Amazing stuff. Could bend that string to a perfect note.
Yeah, soul in every note.
Every single one of them. Just absolutely beautiful. And there's a lot of good documentaries on him as well.
Get a ton of feeling out of just one or two notes. It's amazing how that guy does that.
Yeah, they're not incredibly hard stuff. I mean, one of the things that I did learn, Shine On You Crazy Diamond, everybody tries to learn that entire thing all the way through, right? And Comfortably Numb is amazing stuff. It's amazing how he did not really stray from the scales that much. The basic structure was there, especially in the Comfortably Numb one. That basic structure, absolutely. He stuck to it pretty closely. And the thing that I found really interesting was that he bent those strings to get the sound of bending the strings at times, obviously. Right. And then he bent the strings at times to just so he didn't have to go up and down the neck. Well, and he was really good at it.
I've often wondered if that's if he was doing it as an economy of motion thing, or if he just really liked that not quite fully bent note.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what it was.
It's very soulful.
Wherever it came from, I don't really feel like going up and down the neck. I'd rather just do it right here, or he was showing off.
Right.
It was beautiful.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
It came out.
Without a doubt.
It came out. Let's jump in a little bit here. We're going to talk about the Whammy Bar or the Tremolo Bar, what is the cool kids? What are the cool kids called? Is Whammy Bar the cool thing, or is it Tremolo because that's actually
Whammy Bar is one, and everybody calls them Vibrato Bars, Wang Bars.
Wang Bars?
Yeah, I've heard that. Okay. I've heard everything out there.
Sounds like somebody made a mistake.
Yeah, really.
And it accidentally
Who knows what they were thinking about? But I've heard them called dozens of different things.
So the Whammy Bar, Vibrato Bars. We're going to run through those. We got some really
that's
cool
what
ones,
they are, is a vibrato.
And maybe I guess considered one of the best.
Well, Floyd Rose.
The Floyd Rose.
Floyd Rose is one of the best.
So give us you got a little history of who are the pioneers? Who are the guys that brought this stuff? And you got a bunch of these things out here. We got all kinds of stuff out here to kind of talk to.
Well, if you're going to
through these things, I don't know where you want to start. Do you want to start with that one right there? That is a cool piece of hardware.
Let's start with one of the
kind of
originals.
take us through a history. Who are the guys that ran this? And I know you told me we cannot talk about the Whammy Bar or the Tremolo Bar or the Vibrato Bar without talking about.
Well, you can't talk about it. You got to start with Paul Bigsby.
Yeah, you got to start.
You got to start with Paul Bigsby because this is one of the first commercially available vibrato units that was being offered at the time, and probably around the early to mid 40s.
This is early mid 40s.
Yeah, this one's probably late 40s.
Well, you're not 100% sure, are you? But it's got a serial number on here.
It's got the one stamp. I think that's a casting stamp and not a serial number, but it does have the one stamp on the back there, which is very much.
That's very impressive.
it's a cool old piece, you know.
Yeah,
it's a cool
really
old piece,
is.
and it's still in working condition. And somebody put the
Now that's
Chet Atkins modified bar on there.
So explain that Chet Atkins modified bar. People may not know this. This is cool.
Apparently, Chet Atkins wanted a bar that was that kind of got in and out of his way of his hand, but he also wanted this ring on the end of it. So he had somebody, I think in Nashville, tack weld a bar onto the original mount. And
and
then
because you can see where they cut. You can see where they cut the original bar right here.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people who went and duplicated this idea. This is some local duplication that was done in the 50s. I don't remember where this particular bar came from, but it was a local fella who was obviously a Chet Atkins fan.
And why did he do this? So he could just keep it here?
I really don't know what the purpose was. I never actually
so his hand didn't
witnessed
slide
Chet
off
using
of it or
this
something
bar.
like that.
By the time I was interested in Chet, he was not using this bar anymore.
Okay.
He'd gone back to the standard.
It might have been just a stop so his hand didn't slip off, because most whammy bars are just straight up, and you could slip right off. You're up there wailing and sweating.
Or maybe he was using it, like you say, with his ring finger or pinky finger.
Just
to hold
keeping it in
onto
there to bring it back up, and so, who knows?
Right.
Who knows? Who knows?
But,
very, very cool.
But that's really one of the first commercially viable aftermarket replacements or add-ons, I guess you'd call it, for vibrato system on a guitar.
Right.
And that one there has got it's got the patent number on it.
Yeah, it does have the Bigsby and a patent number on it, and it's
patent number. Actually,
nice.
It's not cast in. It's been.
It's hand stamped.
Yeah, it's hand stamped in. So
yeah,
that's an early one.
That is an early one. Those are very cool. I think they look cool. If the Bigsbys were hunks of junk, which are not,
right?
I'd still love to put them on a nice swingster because they look so cool.
They do. They have a cool. They have a
really
vibe.
Look cool. They just make that.
And a Gretsch just isn't quite a Gretsch.
No, it's really not.
Big, and it's cool too, because if you ever notice, the Gibsons say Bigsby.
Yeah.
But the Gretches say Gretsch.
Yeah.
But it's made the same.
But it's the same.
It's a Bigsby.
Yeah,
they're both Bigsby.
Yeah, you don't want a Gretsch hollow body without it.
Yeah.
I just don't think you do. It's just not quite as cool. It's not quite as cool. What else we got over here?
Well, after that, in '54, Fender came out with the Stratocaster. And then you have his new synchronized tremolo, as he called it at the time. Fairly straightforward, cast, a milled steel block with steel plates, stamped steel saddles. Pretty elegant design,
is this
really.
the original one? I mean,
that's the original. That's a vintage. That's a new American vintage that they make today. But
they make it today, but this is based on the old design, so it wasn't a solid cast. It was two different pieces.
Yeah, it is two separate pieces of steel with stamped steel saddles. Later on in the 70s and the late 60s even, they began to start doing a cast one-piece block with plate.
Very cool. And I've got pictures of these. I'll throw these things up here.
It's unusual that they would do that. And I think it's one of the things that actually gave rise to what I call the vintage Strat recipe, where when you listen to a 70s Strat, there's a difference in tonality, and I do believe that the steel plate, mill steel, sustained block, steel saddles definitely sounds completely different from the cast one-piece unit with cast saddles. They just don't sound the same.
Well, I mean, it's...
Of course, Van Halen adopted this idea pretty quickly because it proved to be superior to the old 6-screw mounting system, which really had it actually has a little bit of up and down play when you use it. When you're whamming with it, it wants to slide up and down on the screws.
Really? Okay.
And the thing is, you have to, in order for it to actually work at its best, the screws have to be a little above it, because if you tighten them down, it wants to do this.
Oh, yeah.
And if you don't leave them a little bit proud, there's no room. The back of the head of the screw will actually hit it.
And you're not getting the same tonality out of it.
Right. So whenever I set one of these up, I set them up completely loose.
Okay.
No strings, no springs, and then adjust them and run them through the travel so they have maximum travel. When I do, I can get a credit card between the head of the screw and the top of this. So
that's it.
Yeah, there's a little.
That's
bit
as tight as it's going to be.
Yeah, because if you go any tighter, you limit the travel.
Okay. See, I'd torque it all the way to the bone.
I had a guy walk in the other day. He says, "My Strat doesn't work," and I'm looking at it. It's like he's torqued it all the way down to where the screws are, literally leaning the whole thing up.
I did that a couple times in the early days. Hey, Bruce, this doesn't work. He goes, "No, you don't work." Go get another lesson.
It works fine.
It works fine. You're not working.
This is a case of pilot error. Yeah.
So tell me about the Floyd Rose, man. So you got the single or the two here that the floating.
The Floyd first showed up without fine tuners. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So you had the 2-pole floating, but Floyd had determined that there was an issue with strings getting what's the word, binding in the nut.
Yeah.
So he came up with a locking nut, but that was a little later. But he also determined that the strings would cinch up around the ball. The loop of the string would cinch up around the ball of the string, and that's one of the reasons why we stretch strings. So
you got the loop around the ball, and as you stretched and you pulled on that string, you bent it, it started touching, and it would come out of tone.
Right. It loses its tuning, loses pitch.
Yeah.
So he came up with the idea. Well, let's just cut the string, the ball end off, and all that little wrap. Let's just get rid of that and lock it in to a little lock mechanism in the saddle, which was superior. Mm-hmm. And with the 2-pole floating system and sitting on a knife edge, the guitar or the tremolo was able to balance like a scale.
Yeah.
And it had a much better opportunity of coming back to zero. Okay. Then when he added the locking nut, he was forced to come up with fine tuners, because once you lock the nut, now your tuners don't really have any.
Not without a screwdriver.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Not working with a screwdriver anymore.
But I mean, it wasn't very long before a Floyd Rose was the gold standard of a whammy that will stay in tune under pretty heavy abuse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially Van Halen or Steve Vai.
It is sexy as hell looking though too. It really is a sexy looking piece of.
I have to say, it definitely has a look that is commanding.
Yeah.
It really lets you know, hey, this guitar.
And I love the finish. I love the finish on this one. Check that.
Yeah, that's called black chrome, or some folks would call that black nickel, smoke nickel.
Yeah, that is beautiful. Yeah, the Floyd Rose Special.
Now the specials are a lesser expensive one.
Yeah.
But they do make a 1000 series that is available to OEMs, and then they make the original, which is made in Germany by Schaller.
Okay.
The originals are really the best. And the most important thing about Floyd's that you want to know is there's a lot of license by Floyd's. Okay. In fact, here's a Japanese made
Here, I'll hold that for
Ibanez with a Takeuchi made Floyd in Taiwan.
Check this out. That looks. And I got pictures of this.
It looks like the same thing.
It looks like the exact same thing, but with a different bar on it.
Right. But the biggest problem that you run into with the license by Floyd's is whether or not they have case hardened parts. Because if these saddles are not case hardened, they won't get a good grip on the string.
So the locking mechanism doesn't work quite as well.
Yeah, it'll slip or it'll dent. The string will make a dent or an impression in the saddle or in the string lock, and then of course it'll slip out.
And then you start losing your it doesn't have the same grip of.
In my opinion, a cheap Floyd is not a smart move. You're better off to get the higher dollar Floyd, or let's say like this special.
Yeah.
This is a used special. It's got the very problem I'm talking about. Okay. These 3 saddles have big dents in them, and there's nothing you can do about them.
Yeah.
There's no way to fix it other than to replace these, and I'm going to replace them with original saddles.
So you're talking about saddles. Are these not saddles?
They are saddles.
Okay, I pulled this off the wall. And
if
you haven't seen the first episode, you should go back and take a look at it, the story of Bruce, because I randomly pull stuff off the wall and surprise Bruce with these things, because he's got so many cool things. And you're talking about saddles. These are saddles.
Those would be saddles.
So here's one that you can hold while you're talking about it, but I'm going to show these people what this is, and I'll get a picture of these as well. But those are the locking saddles that he's talking about.
No, those aren't locking saddles.
Or these are not locking saddles.
These are graphite saddles.
These are the graphite saddles, right? And what are these from?
Graphtec makes those, and they're called string saver saddles. Mm-hmm. And they're basically designed to retrofit on the standard Fender tremolo, which has steel saddles.
Right.
And some folks you know, a lot of times, and this is my own personal opinion, and every luthier has a different way of doing
Everybody's
things.
got an opinion, and they also.
But if you're breaking strings on your steel saddles,
yeah,
you've probably got notches here or some sort of little burr on the top of this that needs to be smoother. But a lot of people, the quick fix is to just put on a set of string saver saddles.
And why do these do that? Why are they?
It's graphite.
It's graphite.
It's a wee mite softer, and it has a little give in it instead of the steel.
It's a natural lubricant too, right?
And it's a natural lubricant, yeah. So when you're whammying on your guitar, that constant movement and the string is kind of doing this, you know, as you move forward. The string is kind of being pushed on and
being stressed. There's friction there. There's
and that puts stress on the string. So eventually it's going to let go there at some point. And the smaller that little point is.
Yeah, sharper it is. It's going to more friction, more heat, more whatever it is. It's going to cut through those strings.
It's obvious,
and you're going to start losing the quality of sound out of that string long before it snaps.
Correct.
Right. Especially on the wound, right, on your low E's.
Oh
and
yeah,
your A
absolutely.
and all that
yeah,
kind
in
of stuff.
fact, I've had wound strings break the windings and not the core.
That's what I'm saying. You're going to cut through those, and
terrible.
And you're like, what is going on? Well, the wound string is actually gone. Cool. What else we got here, man? Let's go through these.
This is the time to introduce the 1984 Fender American Standard.
Okay, so now we're up to the 1980s.
Notice the first thing they did was they got rid of the 6-screw.
They copied Floyd.
And they went and copied the Floyd with the 2-pole knife edge.
Instead of what we were talking about before,
bridge.
They had 6. You can see the 6 holes. Now they only have 2. Beautiful.
And this gave Fender a little bit that extra advantage of, you know, having their tremolo return back to 0. And then they went a couple of ideas further with the Strat Ultra, Strat Plus. The Strat Plus had a set of locking tuning keys and a roller nut, a low friction ball bearing nut, which we just installed for a guy just a couple weeks ago.
Don't you have one here that's got the roller bars on it too?
I don't. Sorry, I wish I did. Now I have this one, which is kind of I thought this was a cute little bridge because it's kind of elegant looking. It is a 2-pole floating bridge. It has the strings do go through the back, and you don't cut the ball ends off. And it has rollers under this that the string rolls over.
Yeah, that's the one that we were looking at earlier. It's got the little roller balls
turn to the saddle, and then the saddle has rollers on it as well.
Yeah, and I got pictures of this.
I thought this was a great little bridge.
I think it looks cool.
But it was dirt cheap.
Yeah. You could buy a new set of strings for probably more expensive than this.
Yeah, sadly, yeah. I was really kind of, I called the company and I asked them if they would make this in a higher quality version, and they said, no, that's the only way we make it. And I thought it was such an elegant design and really cool looking that
it is a really cool looking design.
Yeah. And Floyd, believe it or not, Fender had Floyd Rose make.
So what's the purpose of these rollers? What is this? Did you cover that? Why what the purpose of these rollers is?
What's that?
Did you cover why the purpose of these rollers?
Well, the purpose of the roller is obviously lower friction,
just lower
less
friction
stress.
Strings. I got you.
I mean, if you have a string make a hard bend over a point, that's a lot worse than if it rolls over a roller.
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, you got a smoother. You might. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I see.
Well, you know, a lot of the things that people come up with, some of the ideas are debatable. But many of them are actually pretty good.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with you. Some of them are.
Sometimes the idea is good, but it's misapplied. Yeah. I see that a lot. And you can't talk about tremolos without delving into the many tremolo designs that Leo Fender came up with.
Leo Fender.
You know, the guy was prolific when it came to tremolos. He's got I think he's got like 5 different patents on tremolos. You know?
Does he really?
I believe so. If I'm not mistaken, I'll have to look that up. Jeez. But he's got the Mustang tremolo, which is a very unique and simplistic idea. A lot of pretty straightforward hardware and machine work in this, but what an elegant, simple plate tremolo.
Right. You know? Yeah, that's not very invasive. It's sweet.
It's not going to whammy like a Floyd will, but it'll give you a good vibrato sound, And even and of course, we can all thank Fender for getting tremolo and vibrato all mixed up.
So, in your opinion, Bruce, who was the master of the Whammy Bar? Who are the greats?
Well, you can't talk about Whammy Bar without saying Jimi Hendrix.
Right.
That's virtually impossible. And then Van Halen certainly took it into the next level, and Steve Vai took it past that. Yeah. And there's a lot of people out there who, I don't know, I'm a little bit biased because there's guys out there who did some crazy stuff.
This has been, what has this been? This has been another show. This has been show number 2.
I think you're right.
Pink, or no, what is it?
Pink,
Floyd,
Pink, but
not Pink.
Yeah.
Floyd,
but not
Pink. 07M Custom and Vintage Guitar Geeks. He's Bruce Bennett. I'm Mike Vincent. You can hit me up at, where can you hit me up at? Well, at ocean7music.com. You can go there.
Yeah.
You can hit me up at Michael W.J. Vincent at gmail.com as well.
You need that written on a cue card, don't you?
I do need it written on a cue card. I don't usually give that out. It is. And I'm on the tweeterizer too at 07 Music. So you can check out a tweet and stuff all the time.
I'm really excited to see your new products with this.
So I got some pictures, and I'll cycle through a couple pictures here in a second as we go out. And I should have stuff here in the next few weeks. We're right now waiting on packaging, because everything is 100% recycled material.
Right.
I think ocean reclaimed ocean or ocean bound, right?
Okay.
And even the packaging is 100% recycled and recyclable. Even the print on it. Yeah. There's no fancy colors or shiny or any of that kind of stuff.
I like the aspect that we were talking about plastics that have longer lifespan in the market.
Yeah.
As opposed to short lifespan and get thrown away.
Yeah. You don't have to throw them away. You can you can recycle all of them, and I'm going to prove it here over the years. You watch.
Good.
You watch what's going on. It's going to be amazing stuff.
That.
Yeah. We're going to bring them some other stuff, and you and I have been talking about a couple products that people want and will pay pretty good money for. Bringing them back.
I think they'll be happy to be able to get them.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people who are looking for them now.
Yeah, just to get them, and we're not going to reveal what that is yet, but it's going to be when it comes. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be something that everybody wants, and they're looking for them right now.
Right.
Nobody's making them anymore, but these are going to be out of 100% recycled material.
I think that's fabulous.
Which is going to be really cool, and we're going to knock it out of the park, and everybody's going to thank us and go, we're not worthy. Where are people hitting you up at these days? Besides right here.
Oh, Lord. Well, right now, they're just... hitting me at the store, Hot Rods Guitar Shop.
Hot Rods Guitar Shop.
Through our Facebook, Hot Rods Guitar Hickson.
Yeah. Call them. The phone number is at the beginning of the show and after the show. Give them a ring.
And I'm building a couple of new websites, too, for
cool.
HotRodsGuitar.com.
Yeah, you've got some new stuff that's coming on. We're going to talk about that stuff.
HardRoadGuitars.com.
Yeah, HardRoadGuitars.com. And we're going to have a couple new products maybe the next show.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We're getting our new inlays done tonight. They'll be here tomorrow.
Sweet.
I'm excited to get those in the guitars and get the first couple of guitars together and get them up on, reverb, or get them on the walls at least, and get some photographs. So
excellent stuff. Hey, peace and love, everybody. Until next time, we'll see you.